it's different back then. We showed up.
Yeah.
It
Just want to play hockey.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't upset about the facilities at all.
No, it's
part of the adventure.
Yeah.
We're just guys playing hockey.
Yeah.
We didn't care about the big picture of things. We're just
wanted to play hockey.
You know, like we practiced at a suburban rink. Don Cherry said, okay, guys, you got to bring your bathrobes. We had a trailer out back where the Zamboni dumped the snow. And we'd shower in the public facilities. And you'd walk outside with your
bathrobe
on. But you know what? No one complained. You just did it. Yeah. And it was fun. And especially now, looking back on it, it was just an adventure.
Bolts Nation, welcome into another episode of the Bolts Block Party, powered by our friends at High Ally IPA, Wolfie and Kobe. We are excited because this weekend is Alumni Weekend, Hall of Fame weekend, as we officially induct Rick Peckham and Brian Bradley into the Lightning Hall of Fame. So you know that there's some guys back in town, some of the alumni guys from the original expansion team, 92, 93, 94. They're all here, and we've got two of them joining us today, Shawn Chambers and Rob Ramage. Thank you both, gentlemen, for taking your time out of this busy weekend to sit down with Kobe and I. We're excited to have you guys. How awesome does it feel to be back in this building? First of all, it was the Ice Palace back when you guys were here. But
did they tell you to go to the rink? You guys went to the fairgrounds or something?
Right? That was the last trip, buddy.
Yeah, talk to us about being back in the building and how cool it's been for you guys so far.
This is the first time I've been down here for this building. So I was at the Expo Hall, fairgrounds, and then the Tropicana, whatever that thing was.
Thunderdome.
Yeah, the Thunderdome.
Yeah,
so
man.
I've never been here before. So it's a treat to see this great arena.
Well, they had us come back in 2017, and we went out to the old barn. You know, it's a rodeo building.
Yeah,
tin roof, and they parked on the grass. And we were talking about this morning. We'd be practicing, taking our skates off after practice. We had the door open, and Barnum Bailey Circus would do their before they were going out on tour. We'd be sitting there and look out, there's the elephants, there's the clowns, there's the bearded lady. Holy smokes, this is the NHL, man.
Different times,
It just goes to show you, though, how much has changed expansion. When you went to Vegas and you saw that whole production there, and you go to Seattle and you think about the old Key Arena and the fact that they put $1 billion in renovations to that place, before the guys even got there. It's just kind of remarkable that the evolution of what's happened so far in the NHL expansion.
Well, it's $1 billion business now. Yeah. And so, when we expand, we were the cast of the cast off. Right? And we took great pride in that.
Yeah, I mean, we were all older guys and not very good. So it was kind of fun that way for us, but to be the start of it. But now these guys, their teams are loaded before they even start.
Facts.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's talk about your guys, your history. Because, again, we have a lot of new Lightning fan base, that we call them the Bolts Nation, but there's a lot of newer fans who don't necessarily know the lineage of the guys that really paved the way for the Lightning franchise for what it is today. So let's start with you, Rob. First overall draft pick. I mean, that alone just stands above the rest, but 15 seasons in the NHL. You played for 8 different franchises, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, which is remarkable. Started out in the OHL for the London Knights, which we've had a lot of guys have a lot of correlation to the London Knights. Before you signed to the WHA, the Birmingham Bulls, in 78-79, and became a member of the group known as the Baby Bulls, who went all on to have successful NHL careers. Talk to us about the Baby Bulls before that jump into the NHL, and who was on that team with you that all became superstars.
Yeah, I'd played junior in London for 3 years, and back then it was a 20-year-old NHL draft, so you had to wait. So Gretzky signed with Indianapolis, and that opened the door for us to jump leagues. And so, I was making $35 a week playing junior hockey. I signed for $20,000, 30 to play. Drove a brand new Trans Am off the showroom floor in Birmingham, Alabama. Old football player sold it to me. He said, "Hey, this sumbitch got AM, FM radio," and sold. So, anyways, we went down there. Talk about culture shock, though. Going from Ontario to the deep south, we skate on the ice. Our theme song was "Sweet Home Alabama."
Love it.
And they're waving Confederate flags, and it was like, holy smokes, where are we?
Yeah.
And we didn't have many fans. I think we averaged around 8,000. They brought in Dave Killer Hansen, the Hanson brothers, to ride shotgun for us, and he was great. John Brophy was our coach, who was crazy, but it was really good for us. But yeah, we had Rick Vive, who had a successful career, scored 50 goals, I think 2-3 times with the Maple Leafs. Craig Hartsburg, long career with Minnesota. Patty Regan was a goaltender. Michel Goulet, Hall of Famer. So yeah, we were the baby Bulls, and Brof loved us. We were the young guys. We were eager to play, and he threw us out there. So it was a great indoctrination to pro hockey. And the leagues merged that summer, and we all went back into the draft.
So what were the 4 teams that left the WHL to go join the NHL?
Yeah, it was Hartford, which was the New England Whalers at the time, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and then Quebec, the Nordique.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of us went into the draft. And yeah, it was great being first overall. Listen, Gretzky, part of the deal of the merger was he went to Edmonton. He didn't go into the draft.
Right.
So, I might have been number 2. I don't know.
Hey, that guy's pretty good at hockey.
Yeah.
Shawn, we'll get back to, I love the backstories here. So you were from Royal Oak, Michigan, and I thought it was very fascinating that you chose to go to the University of Alaska from Michigan, right? So what was the thought process with going there, which, by the way, the Shawn Chambers Top Defenseman Award is presented annually to the best defenseman on the Alaska Nanooks hockey team. But what made you want to go from Michigan to Alaska to start your hockey journey?
Well, the year I played juniors I graduated, and I played 1 year of juniors in Detroit. We won the national championship. I led everybody in scoring. Nobody wanted me. Nobody. I mean, Michigan State at the time was the best. They were the best team. That's where I wanted to go to college and go play.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted me. I'm like, okay. And then one of the coach's buddies up in Fairbanks had a guy in Detroit. He goes, "You got to take this guy." The coach never saw me. I go, "All right, I guess I'm going to Fairbanks." I had a chance to go play out in Saskatoon. They had a tryout up at Michigan State for the Blades, and I don't know if I'm good enough. I mean, my best friend was Kevin Hatcher. They all left early. One played in the OHL. I'm like, I don't know. I better go to college and hopefully maybe something to fall back. And I was good, but I was okay. And it's just so I went up there for a year and a half, and I played college. Then I left, went and played in Seattle in the OHL same year, and then I went and played in Kansas City or Fort Wayne for the IHL all in 1 year. So it was kind of a eye-opening experience for me to go from college to juniors to pro in 1 year, and it's kind of helped me as a career.
We were talking about that earlier about back then. It seems like, and again, you, Ciccone, Cole, it seems like a lot of you guys were just constantly going from one franchise to the next, and you don't see that in today's hockey. But why back then was there so much bouncing around from franchise to franchises? Was there a reason for that? I mean, it just seems like trading was going on left and right back in the early 80s.
Well, we had a guy here, his nickname was Trader Phil. he wasn't afraid to pull the trigger.
Sure.
So, but Shawn, I always look at it this way though. Hey, at least someone wanted us.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's kind of the way I looked at it, as as long as somebody wants you to play hockey for you, you're in a good spot.
What was I'm always curious because the first year I played in the minors, commercial planes, we're in the American League, we're flying down to Houston, we're flying down to San Antonio. How did you guys get around? Like, what was were you flying in Alaska all the time to all your league games? Were you in Birmingham? Were you guys taking a train, bussing around?
No, it was, we're commercial. Okay. And back in the day, I never got a charter until I guess 10, 11 years into my career. But, commercial was fun. Like, we'd go to Boston. I was playing in Colorado. We'd go to Boston, and you always bought lobsters, And so we'd have an early morning flight. Well, guess what people were getting for breakfast? They were getting our lobsters. We're pulling those lobsters in the box, and we just terrorized the plane.
That's amazing, though.
Oh, and the flight attendants, the Stewie's back, they were great. They loved us. They hated us. They had us. There was nothing they could do.
So I would love, Rob, for you to talk about the first ever recorded goalie goal in NHL history and how you were a part of that, because it's a crazy story how that one happened.
Well, I'm going to leave now. Yeah. Well, I was playing for the old Colorado Rockies, who back then were not a Major League Baseball team. They moved east to become the New Jersey Devils. But Don Cherry is the coach, and we were playing the Islanders. There's a delayed penalty. I'm playing right D. I go down to the corner, grab a loose puck. Mike Kitchen's breaking into the slot. I fire him a pass. He gets nailed. Goes the length of the ice in the net. Goal. The puck had the last Islander player to have touched it was Billy Smith.
Right.
So that was the goal.
So
I go back. Yeah, we got penalty, we got power play, and I go back to bench, and like Grapes, Don Cherry's great. He just looks at me and goes, "Stay out there, just stay out there." So yes, that is the first goal.
First ever in the NHL goalie goal. He was part of that.
And I know the puck is in the Hall of Fame.
Is
I
it?
got the stick, and they're not getting it.
Things on notice on that one. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about. So you mentioned the pucks in the Hall of Fame. I know you have a couple really special pucks.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? And has the Hall of Fame kind of tried to come and steal them from you ever?
Nobody knows that I have them. Like I've told people, but I don't think they believe me. So the '95 Cup win in Jersey, I was on the ice and somebody from Detroit must have shot it around the ice and it hit my skate. So, and I didn't keep any memorabilia at all.
Really?
I just never did. Hit my skate and I'm like, well, I scored the last goal of the game to make it 5-2. That might have been the puck that I scored with. I'm like, you never know if it went over. And like, so I put it in my pants. So got that one. Then we won when Brett Hull scored in the crease. I was on the ice. I was in the corner, got tackled. I said, I'll be right back. I got to go. So I went in the net, grabbed the puck, put it in my pants. So I have both pucks sitting on my right next to my fireplace on a little mantle form. So I have both pucks that were on the ice. This is before all the teams took, every game-winning puck. They're taking a puck, but that was 95, 99. Nobody was doing that. Nobody even knows. Nobody's asked.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that. In 2010, when I was in Philly, we were playing the Chicago Blackhawks, and Chris Pronger was taking great pride in taking the Chicago Blackhawks winning puck. He would steal it after every game. He's like, they'd come to get it. You see these Blackhawks kind of coming down our zone to get it, and Prongs is like slashing people, like picking it up.
I remember seeing some of that.
Yeah, shocker. But I'm surprised, like Lou Lamoriello, he didn't track that down. I feel like he's had the handcuffs on a lot of things that happened in the dressing room, and as far as what guys were able to take out of the dressing room or any memorabilia.
Nobody got away with too much with Lou around. He was quite a character and great guy, great man.
So you were selected in the supplemental draft, correct? Can you explain to the listeners out there? Obviously, we don't do the supplemental draft anymore, but you were part of that. So what was the supplemental draft for?
My agent wanted to sue the NHL.
Oh, he did.
Because he goes, this isn't right. Because it was for guys who went undrafted after 18. Because the guys were coming out of college, the 20-year-olds like there's a couple of guys from Michigan State that came out. Was that Adam Oates? Could
have been
get a free agent? Like the guys were coming out of college as a free agent because they weren't drafted, and the guys, so they're getting more money than the guys who'd been in the league. So that couldn't happen.
Gotcha.
They were just unprecedented, and like, we're just giving these guys all this money, and the guys have been in the league for this long. So that's why the supplemental, because they didn't want me to come in as a free agent. So then this team's bidding on you. So they were making more money than some of the old veterans. That was why the supplemental draft came around.
Because it doesn't happen that often. It happened in the NFL too, but it only happened like once or twice for the NHL, which is pretty remarkable. Which actually, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but you're the only player to be selected in the NHL supplemental draft that went on to win the Stanley Cup in his career. Did you know that?
Yeah. And also that I'm the worst rated player ever.
I did see that. He's and so the other stat, which I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you did,
I know.
He's also has the unfortunate distinction of having the lowest overall rating of any athlete in a sports video game with an overall rating of 1 on the video game NHLPA Hockey 93. Why did they even put you in the game if you got a 1?
So in 91, we lost the cup to Pittsburgh that year, and I had 3 knee surgeries. I went to Washington, played 5 games that year. My knee was an absolute wreck. I came down here, didn't think I was going to play again. I had like 3 more surgeries, and I thought my career was over. But I think it's because the games I had in Washington, I only played 2 or 3 games, so they just gave me 1 rating.
We legally have to put them on the team in the game, but
hey, 2 cups, and obviously these guys never played with them, and I used to laugh because it looked like he played without a pulse, like calm, cool, collected, while the rest of us are like the duck calm on the surface, and our freaking legs are going a million miles an hour underneath. This guy was very savvy, very controlled.
I heard your nickname was Bundy. Where did that come from?
I think it's either Mark Habshide or Basil, one of the two. They'll probably both claim it, but they called me King Kong Bundy. I've never been quite the lean guy. I've always had a little pouch, but he's an old wrestler.
Yeah.
So King Kong Bundy. So I was nicknamed Bundy, and it's kind of everywhere I went, somebody knew me as Bundy, so it's always been there. It kind of evolved into Al Bundy from Married with Children. So as long as it's not Ted Bundy, it's
at least
all
he's not
good.
sitting here with the hand in his face like Ed Bundy right now.
John Tucker's like, you got to ask him. So,
Rob, so
The next thing was he's like, make sure he takes his shirt off. That was it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So another fact that I thought was very interesting, Rob, was after, Colorado, you were traded to the Blues, then to the Flames, which you did help them win their first cup, but really didn't have a whole lot of time before you got traded to Toronto. But you were the 13th captain in Toronto's franchise history, and you remain the only player in team history to be named the captain before ever playing a game for the team. How did that come to be?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
Harold
amazing.
Ballard was the owner, a legendary guy. So I get traded in the summer. I'm in London, which is my hometown, 100 miles from Toronto. About 2 weeks before training camp, I go for a Sunday run in the park. Stop, grab the Toronto Star newspaper, open up the sports section. Ballard names Ramage captain. I'm going, holy crap. I haven't even met my teammates yet. I haven't been to Toronto yet.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Great honor, but still
right,
kind of awkward. And so that's how that came about. Fortunately, Wendell Clark, Brad Marsh, a dear friend, childhood friend growing up, Mark Osborne, they were great. They embraced me. And they knew Harold was a little bit crazy. I mean, he lived in the building. He was a Phantom of the Opera. He lived in Maple Leaf Gardens.
Wow.
And so finally training camp.
Why do you think he did that? Like, what was his motivation?
In my mind, Wendell should have been the captain. Wendell had 2 years of injuries. He was just fighting through every game, trying to get out there. And I think he wanted to give Wendell time to heal, and ultimately he would become a captain.
Gotcha.
So I think I wasn't going to be there long. I was there for 2 years.
Because the spotlight it's a different spotlight in Toronto, right?
Yeah, it is. I was older. I just won a cup in Calgary. I was 32 years old, I think, at the time. So, and oh man, and we weren't very good. The first year we made the playoffs, played 500 hockey back then, and made the playoffs. The next year we fired the coach 10 games into the season, and it was just a gong show. It really was. But it's always cool to get a chance to play for an original six.
Yeah. And
like I said, we did make the playoffs 1 year. But other than that, it was adios. They said, listen, we got great plans for you. Those plans were I win the expansion draft.
Right.
End up with Shawn in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, get expanded the next year, come down here. They're all good.
Yeah.
I mean, same message that Brad's had. Too.
Yes,
He was kind of looking at, he was in Toronto, and he's saying that he's kind of got the same deal. But I wanted to ask you about a coach you guys had here, and you actually had him twice, Terry Crisp.
Yeah, Crispy.
We had him on
He was
I think,
great.
a couple of years ago,
Yeah, it
or
was
last year.
Yep.
And what a character. Like, absolute character.
I'm sure you guys got stories about Crispy.
There's one. There's one time he's on the bench. He comes down to Cash and he's looking at Hammerlock on the ice. He goes, what is it with that kid? What is he on? And he comes back and he goes walk down the bench, goes, whatever he's got, I need to get some of that. Our first year here, we practiced early in the morning because he wanted to golf in the afternoon. It was, we weren't very good, but we had a bunch of guys that were grinders, so we practiced hard, we played hard. We just didn't have the talent. Brad was it.
Yeah.
He was our only talent.
No, we were competitive. I think up until about Christmas, we were competitive, and then things dropped off. But no, Crispy, I had him twice, as you mentioned, in Calgary with the Cup team. Big personality, big voice, coached every pass. And as defenseman, all we heard was, get rid of it, get rid of it. But, and once again, Roman's story, he was struggling, and Cash was always the sounding board. And Crispy, Cash. If I put him out there again, sucker me. And it's funny, Crispy had all these lines, and Al McGinnis is a good friend from Calgary, and the guys here, Baz and whatnot. So we're all coaching kids hockey when we leave our careers and coaching our kids. And guess what? We started using Crispy lines.
Yeah. Wow.
And we look at each other and go, I can't believe I just said that. But they're great lines.
Stuck with you, yeah.
But you get him from behind the bench, and he's the sweetest guy. He's got the great stories. He cares, and he was a good coach.
Yeah.
He was a good coach. He was very involved.
You guys came from professional organizations to coming down here to an expansion team to playing in the fairgrounds and, like you said, the Thunderdome, non-traditional hockey market. What were your first impressions when you came down to Florida and seeing the facilities and seeing where you're going to be playing now? Did it not really resonate, or did you not care, or you were just go with the flow?
It's different back then. We didn't. We showed up
Yeah.
It,
Just want to play hockey.
yeah. I mean, we weren't upset about the facilities at all.
No, it's
Part of the adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, part of adventure getting on what if we're going to get a trip on a plane or not,
Yeah.
There was a lot of mishaps with that to start off the year, but no, it was, I mean, we're just guys playing hockey.
Yeah.
We didn't care about the big picture of things. We're just,
wanted to play hockey.
You know, like my first year in the NHL in Colorado, we practiced at a suburban rink. Don Cherry said, "Okay, guys, you have to bring your bathrobes." We had a trailer out back where the Zamboni dumped the snow, and so we'd shower in the public facilities, and you'd walk outside with your
Bathrobe.
on. But you know what? I think when Rennie Robert was on our team, Lanny McDonald, you just kind of, no one complained. You just did it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And especially now looking back on it, it was just an adventure.
Rammer, one of the things I heard that was an important role for you when you were coming here was to be in that mentorship role for a guy you guys both mentioned, Hammerlick. Can you talk about his progression, feeling like, hey, man, I've been in the NHL. Now I'm mentoring this young Czech kid, first overall, him coming into the league.
Well, being a defenseman myself, and he was 18 years old, and you could see the talent. This guy was going to be good. Didn't speak much English. We changed roommates throughout the year, but I had him for a while. I remember him looking at me and go, "You uncle." Okay, I bet. Well, I'm 32, 33, whatever I was. He's 18 years old. Yeah. So, and I remember his dad had showed up and lived with him for a while, and he had this Mitsubishi sports car, and we're at the gas station, and they have no clue how to put gas in
the car.
In the car. And he had this rocket of a car. And
that's great.
But he, you know what? That's what we did though, as we matured in our careers. I had great mentors. I had, Lanny McDonald, as I mentioned, Brian Sutter, those guys. And so our generation did that. I'm not saying they don't do that now. It's a little bit more, it's independent contractors. What do you want to say? But it was a big part of your career. You assume that role. It was great. You know what? It kept you kind of engaged and feeling young.
Did Phil communicate that? Did he come down and specifically say like, hey, you guys are D here. Like you guys got to take care of this kid. Like you got to show him the ropes. Was that ever like the message?
Not really. No. I mean, you help him out whenever you can. I mean, he's 18, like you said.
It's probably a good thing he didn't speak English. I could hear what that was.
I had no clue.
100%, yes. But like you said, the skill and talent he had was really good. It just, he didn't speak the English or the language, so it was hard.
Yeah. No, we had a good mix. I think of Rob Zamner and Jabber and some of the young guys, and they just make you laugh. You can hardly wait to come in and hear the stories of the things that we couldn't do as married guys.
Yeah. No,
that's awesome. So when you guys are coming here your first year, what are the expectations? What like you sitting here, you're like, okay, what's our goal as a team? Like, are we trying to be better than the Ottawa Senators, the other expansion team? Are we trying to make the playoffs? Are we trying to win the Stanley Cup? Like, what were the realistic goals of the group? Or we were just like, man, we're just going out every night trying to win hockey games?
I think that was for me. That's all. I mean, first I was trying to get back in the lineup because my knee was a wreck. But after that, it's like, we're just out there to win games. I mean, it's
compete, be competitive.
All that matters. Yeah.
Not an embarrassment. I mean, listen, we started off training camp in Lakeland, Florida.
Right.
And once again, not a real hockey town, and it's warm, it's hot, and everything else. I remember, we had our first team meeting, and Phil speaks, and then Cash speaks, and I remember Cash was a classic. He goes, "Well, guys, this is really important." He goes, "A lot of elderly people here. You got to be careful about getting rear-ended when you're driving."
He wasn't wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what we're doing. Then we bring Manuel Rio in, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because Wide World of Sports, Dick Schaap showed up. Like, all of a sudden, we got attention from the sports world, not just the hockey world. And she did a heck of a job. Yeah. I mean, she was my goalie, and we used to, break up, play 4 teams, and she was my goalie. And man, we protected her, and she was great.
You're blocking a lot more shots.
Yeah, I haven't blocked. That was the only time I ever blocked shots in my career.
So, Ram, are you still coaching? I know you had returned to be the assistant coach of the London Knights back in 2011, player development coach for Montreal. Are you still currently coaching?
Yeah. I'm still working with Montreal, director of player development. So I work with all our young players not playing in the NHL. So Laval, the American League junior, college guys over in Europe, and they're a great group.
Do you get to chit chat with Marty at all?
Oh yeah, no, I saw him. We just did pro meetings last week, so I saw Marty up there. Wonderful
Vinny
guy,
too, right? And Vinny.
Oh
too.
yeah, Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny's doing some stuff.
best job in hockey, special.
Special
what's his
advisor.
title?
Special- I don't know, we were just talking about how do you get those ones. But no, it's a great role working with the young guys. You know what, they're not making any money yet, so they're eager to learn. They still listen.
Sure.
It's a great group to
Yeah,
work with.
right?
How different do you think the young guys are now compared to maybe when you guys were coming up? Is there a big change, or do you think that just that ambition and motivation is still there, but the game's a little bit more professionalized from a young age?
These guys are in way better shape than I ever was when I played. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the conditioning, the shape that they're in. That they're coming in. They're pros coming in. Like coming from college or from juniors. They're pros already.
Well, they also got nutritionists now. Like you guys, I don't even know what you guys were doing back there for team meals. Like have a steak. and a
One
beer
assistant
here.
coach. And,
Yeah.
you know, Skip Thayer was our trainer.
Yeah.
And
No.
we had Frosty, equipment guy. That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
when you
right.
can find them.
Yeah.
But no, and listen, they're still a young, great group to work with. Like Shawn said, like they're fit. You
Right.
know,
They're just great
you know,
shape.
What they eat, everything else. They have a lot of voices in their ears now. Like, you know, skills coach, skating coach, nutritionist, strength coach, and everything else. Sometimes it's just too much. You know, it's too much. And that's part of my role is, you know what, there's one voice during the season.
Right.
He stands behind you on the bench. It's called the coach.
Right.
That's never going to change.
Right.
Listen to him.
It's great. Fantastic. Listen, gentlemen, we have a couple more interviews we got to get to today. However, we do a segment on our show, powered by our friends at Highlights, called the Hat Trick. So since we have two of you, I need two numbers from each of you, 1 through 100, a number that means something to you, two numbers that mean something to you. We have some AI-generated questions. So Kobe and I really don't know these questions. So you guys give us numbers that mean something to you, and we will ask you the AI-generated questions. So we'll start with you, Rob. Give me two numbers.
That's the new age we're in.
It's the new age we're in
don't have to
now.
think
We
of
don't have to.
questions, we just
AI
have
does it
AI
for
make it
you.
for
I
us.
need to make my grandkids to answer this then. 5,
All right, 5 and one more.
55.
Okay. And Shawn
22.
and
Let's go 26.
number 5. Oh, this is good because you are a coach. How do you balance player development and winning? Interesting question.
Well, you know, the development part comes first.
Sure.
Okay, so you've got to build that foundation. As a young player, obviously your skill set's all important. These guys are skilled; they can skate and do it all. But it's building that foundation of trust with your coach. And what's a coach want? Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for me where it starts. And you can't be great one night and terrible the next night. Coach wants a little bit of predictability as best you can.
Great answer.
Yeah, and actually, this is a good one. I just curious, but you guys can both answer this, and maybe Shawn, go first. What did you guys do on your day off? What was your favorite thing? Day offs, you're playing. What was your go-to?
Before or after kids is a better question, but I mean, if I could go play golf somewhere, if I was in a warm place to play, I'd go play some golf just to get my mind off the game and just go out and just enjoy myself.
Because he's going to the Hall of Fame. Have you played Rick? I heard he's a stick.
Brad's? Oh, Rick.
No, Rick Peckham, yeah.
I have not. I have not played golf. He wasn't here when I was here.
That's right.
That's right. So that was before his time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Rammer.
Yeah.
What about you, Rick?
Same, you know, before kids, you know, golf, anything, you know, away from the game. Like we did disassociate from the game. We didn't have the social media and everything else, which is a problem with the young guys today too.
Yeah.
They're barrage, you know, 24/7. But after kids, it's kids. They get handed. It's a handoff. Hostage exchange.
Yeah.
All right.
Day on, as I used to call it. You know?
Day on. Yeah.
Day on.
As a player, and I'm sure you guys can both address this one because you've both dealt with different coaches in your career, but how do you adapt to different coaching styles?
You know, I think Jacques Lemaire, when I played for him in Jersey, he was the calmest guy I've ever played for, because I had a few guys that like to yell a little bit. Crispy, Page, like a few yellers, and Hitchcock was quite a bit of yeller too. So out of all the coaches I had,
How high pitch was that?
oh man, he would just turn red too. He'd just get so, he just yell and then he wouldn't yell. Oh man, it was. But Jacques Lemaire, he was so calm behind the bench, and as a player, like I coached for 20 years, all my kids, and I coached high school. I went to Prince George coaching. I said, I want to coach like Jacques Lemaire. I want to be calm behind the bench because it made me feel calmer. Like he said, I didn't have a pulse, but it made me calmer on the bench because Larry Robinson was there. I was sitting there like they never got worried about anything. And it's like, that's what I liked about a coach, is just doing that. The other guy yelling and screaming, all of a sudden you're on the bench, like, oh my God, now I'm getting jittery because you're yelling, something's going wrong. And it's like, that was the personality for me. I wanted the calmness.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I think, as a player, you have no choice. The guy behind the bench is the guy behind the bench. So
Right.
you've got to adjust and adapt. That's all you can do. And I just think about Crispy. We had to bring in the sports psychologist halfway through the season. The guys were getting a little upset with Crispy. And so he took Crispy for an afternoon, and we did a bitch session for 2 hours. All the guys just dumped.
Nice.
So Crispy came in the morning. He goes, "Oh, hey, gentlemen." I always used to say, gentlemen. So you had your meeting. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm Irish. I've got red hair, and I'm not changing. But we had a great veteran group. We all pulled together, and we realized that's Crispy. He loves us.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
out.
Yeah, it was
We got another
awesome.
one here?
Yeah, one more. It's 26 right here.
So over your course of your guys' career, sometimes teammates don't see eye to eye. And was there ever an instance when you walked into a dressing room and
He's already laughing.
teammates are fighting?
When I got traded from here to New Jersey, we didn't get there in time. We were supposed to play that game, me and Danton Cole, and we got there. We walked through the training room in our, in our suits, going to the game. It was either after warm-up or after the first period. Claude Lemieux and Scott Stevens are in the first two. They shut the door and they're going at it. They're going at it. They're the only two in the locker room. I'm walking through the training room into first time I've ever been there. I'm walking in and these two are having at it. I have no idea what happened out on the ice. I just walk in. I'm like, oh, I'm going to walk back out. I don't know what's going on. I've never seen.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. Chambers here.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tough guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we walked out of that one with less blood.
There was no bleed. I don't know if they still had their gloves on. I just walked in. I just saw hands going. I kind of did the full circle. Like, time for me to move out of the room. I don't even know these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
And the
Unbelievable.
best thing is probably 10 minutes later,
Oh,
an hour,
buddies.
what I mean?
They're having beers.
Back pulling the same rope, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That team was. Claude was a piece of work, but he's great on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys are guys, and tempers flare in practice sometimes. But and Shawn will know this. We had teammates in Minnesota, Shane Sherlin, Basil McRae, and they had Mark Bureau, who played here also. Frenchie was their centerman, and we used to do this 3-on-3 down low checking drill. And I was Darren Hatcher was an 18-year-old. I was paired with him, and so we'd split up half at each end. Well, the whole team would disappear. All the D would disappear to the other end. I was stuck with Hatch, and I were stuck with Charles and Basil and Frenchie. And it's like there wasn't even a puck out there. Yeah. All they did was run these flying picks on you. So Charles and I got into it a little bit. Thank God he didn't start wheeling on me. But I just remember Shane and Baz telling Mark Bureau, listen, you got one job. I wear CCM gloves. Baz wears Bowers. So when we fight, you make sure you pick up the right gloves and give them to us in the penalty box, deliver them to us properly.
That's amazing. And Basil, was he one of your best friends?
Yeah, he played in London before me. His wife Jill's my mom taught her in elementary school.
Oh wow.
We live beside each other here in Tampa. Our kids are the same age. They're like family.
That's amazing.
So yeah,
that's what we love to see, man. And this part of this Hall of Fame alumni weekend is getting guys like this to come back and reminisce and kind of talk about the old days, and we kind of got it here on the block party. So gentlemen, we thank you both for taking the time to sit down with Kobe and I, and hope you guys can soak it all up this weekend and share old memories with your boys. And it's been awesome. We truly appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to be with us, and have a great time this weekend for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And so proud of what this organization's done. The cups, everything.
We're still going, man.
Yeah, full house every night. It's wonderful.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Bolts Block Party, powered by our friends at Highlight IPA. We got a new episode coming your way next week. Thanks for joining in.